Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram
कृपा
Ram, Ram
सिंधुभ्य
Hare
एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा, श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीला गुरुदेव की जय। All glories to all the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Chinmayi Vrajapriya Devi Dasi, welcoming all of you to the mid-morning Japa session. I thank all of you for attending today's session, and please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. It is time for us to move on to our next session, which is this week we have our Ram Navami special. So it is a class on Lord Rama Chandra. So before we move on to that, may I know who all have joined today's call?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranams. So glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Preethi Vilasini Devi.
Hare Krishna Kirtida Sundari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Neetu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, teacher Main Mataji, Danvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Vranda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Chinmayi Vrajapriya Mataji. This is Preethi Dasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kaumudaki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories
We're waiting for more men.
welcome to the call, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Chinmayi Vrajapriya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna Yashomati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is there anybody else in the call who would like to introduce themselves? Okay. Let me read Srila Prabhupada's quote for today before I hand over the call to Mataji. Yeah, so today's quote is Ramachandra's life, God's activities, pastimes. If we hear, that means we are associating with Ramachandra. There is no difference between his form, his name, his pastimes, and himself. He is absolute. Therefore, either you chant the holy name of Rama, or you see the statue of Rama, or you talk of his transcendental pastimes. Everything. That means you are associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We take advantage of these days when the incarnation of God appears or disappears, and we try to associate with him. This was said by His Divine Grace at Hawaii, March 27th, 1969. So here we have received blessings from Srila Prabhupada to start this beautiful session. Today we are all very fortunate to have Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji with us. She is going to talk Her topic is Surya Vamsha's Sri Rama Chandra. Hare Krishna Mataji. So fortunate to have you and so happy to introduce you today on the call. So please take over, Mataji. My dandavats. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all so much for joining us. If my connection gets choppy and if you're not able to hear me, just alert me and I can log in from my phone. As of now, the internet is good, so I'll continue on my laptop. Okay. Before we get started, a few things. This is going to be a very interactive session. I'll be asking questions and we'll discuss as we move along this presentation, as we move together along in this presentation. So today's topic, as mentioned, is Surya Vamsha, Sri Rama Chandra, and this topic was chosen today because I was very inspired by the work by the name Raghuvira Gadyam. Gadyam is a prose, it is not poetry, but the way the prose was authored as in a very poetic way. So the author had a lot of beautiful ornaments when he wrote the prose. The author is Vedanta Deshika, one of the greatest commentators ever known from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So this presentation will be mostly information sharing. We'll not have katha because we have done a lot of katha in the past. On Bhakti Sangha, there have been many series on Sri Valmiki Ramayana. We have done Valmiki Ramayana from beginning to end, just the katha. We have done summaries of different cantos, just katha, by all our coordinators. And then we have done specific philosophical topics from the Ramayana in the past. So we have covered a lot of topics so far on Bhakti Sangha, and all the playlist is available on YouTube. We have had various speakers glorify Lord Ram. So I thought in today's session, we'll do something very unique. We'll discuss the glories of Lord Ram because he's Surya Vamsha's Rama Chandra. So basically, we are going to talk about the sun and the moon. That is what we're going to do in today's session. So having said that, I'm very excited, and I please request the audience to be alert to unmute to answer questions so that we have a lot of fun learning about Lord Sri Ram. I'll start with the prayer. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayati girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Maduraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam. Valmikir Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Ramakatanatam Konayati Paramgatim. Vedavedye Pare Pumse Jate Dasharatatmaje Veda Prachi Prasadasi Sakshat Ramayanatmana. Anjananandanam Veedam Janaki Shokanashanam Kapisham Akshahantaram Vande Lankabhayankaram. Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayudamukyam Sri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami. Anjaneya Madhipatanalanam Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Tarumula Vasinam Bhavayami Pavamananandana. Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakhanjali Bhashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namata Rakshasam. Shri Raghavam Dasharathatmajam Apramenyam Sitapatim Raghukulanmaya Ratnadeepam Ajanubahum Aravinda Dalayadaksham Ramam Nishachara Vinashakam Namami. My humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay. Question to everybody. In this world, there are some beautiful things of this world that you can compare with when you think about the Lord. So the Lord has transcendental qualities. His beauty is incomparable. But still, the poets of this world, they try to compare the Lord to different things of this universe. So can we have some volunteers tell me what are the different things that poets use to compare the beauty of the Lord or his transcendental qualities?
Lotus.
Lotus, excellent. That's the most common place, lotus.
For Krishna, they use the color of the sky.
Sky, yes, sky. Yes.
Moon.
Moon, yes. The cooling moon, right? Anything else?
The deer's eyes.
Eyes, yes. Is compared to? Oh, deer's eyes. Deer's eyes. Yes, Mataji. That is the beautiful. Yeah, the deer's eyes is very beautiful. So all of you are right. There are so many ways of comparing the beauty of the Lord. The Lord is most often compared to the lotus flower, very beautiful. His eyes, his skin, his feet, his fingers, everything is compared to lotus. And then he's also compared to the moon because he's very cooling like the moon. His personality is compared to the moon. Lord Shri Krishna's personality of the full moon without any blemishes, clear. And then, as you all said, the sky, the deer's eye. So like that, there are various comparisons for the beauty of the moon. One other comparison, which is not so common, is the sun. Okay, the sun. But how can the Lord be compared to the sun? That is the first part of our discussion, which we will do. And then the second part of the discussion is we will see how the Lord is compared to the moon. So that is the reason the topic is Surya Vamsha's Rama Chandra. So first we are going to cover Surya, then we'll go on to Chandra. Okay. Now the Lord is compared to the sun in many places in many of our scriptures. Like for example, we have Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have the Bhagavad Gita, we have Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are many scriptures where the Lord is compared to the sun. I told you it's not very common, but still we see. So any volunteers to tell me where are the places where the Lord is compared to the sun?
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said Surya Sama Krishna Maya Haya Andhakar, right?
Correct, exactly. That is the verse I was
Krishna is compared to the sun. Right?
In many purports, Srila Prabhupada has used like Krishna is like sun. When light comes, the knowledge comes with Krishna. And
yes, correct. So
Maya
Krishna,
Guru,
Gita, it is said Aditya Varnam. Aditya Varnam.
yes.
Tamasat Parastat. Aditya Varnam.
It's
like
yes, correct. So we are going to actually screen all of these verses that you all mentioned. And here we go. These are the different verses. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar. Yahan Krishna Thaha Nahi Mayera Adhikar. Krishna is compared to the sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Krishna Surya Sama is compared to the sun actually. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. So this is the beautiful verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And as you and there is one other verse you mentioned from Bhagavad Gita, which we will cover in the next few slides. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, of the Adityas, I am Vishnu, of the lights, I am the radiant sun, I am Marichi of the Maruts, and among the stars, I am the moon. So our current focus is the sun. And as Prabhuji was mentioning, the Lord himself is like the sun. Like, in many purports of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada has mentioned that he's like the sun which illuminates everything. And he's self-effulgent. He doesn't need anything to illuminate him. He is self-sufficient, but he illuminates everything in this world. So we see throughout scriptures that Krishna is often compared to the sun, especially because of the quality of his, which is illumination. He illuminates everything. Okay, so can Rama really be compared to the sun? What are some of the qualities of sun that you can think of? Some qualities of sun. The sun of the world.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Very nice. It's brilliant.
Light.
Light. Yeah.
Equal to all.
It removes the darkness.
Removes darkness. Correct. It removes darkness. It's equal to all. It gives out light. It illuminates. Yeah. These are the different qualities of the sun. They have broadly classified these, some of the properties of sun, which is sun lights objects and remove darkness. Okay? Now he is equal to all, of course. He lights all objects and he removes the darkness in this universe. So that is the major property of the sun. And also the sun is seen in the sky. Only because he's in the sky, he's equal to all, right? He's able to, light up everything. So some of the properties are the sun lights objects and removes darkness, and the sun is in the sky. Now let's see how Lord Ramachandra actually fits into these two descriptions of the sun. In the Mundaka Upanishad,
Mataji, we cannot hear. I don't know if I am only not able to hear.
Yeah, we can't hear her.
Yeah, we can't hear.
You can hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
It's
Mataji.
Mataji, your notes is up, I think. I don't know. Or short, something general shortcut, something is displayed on the screen.
one second. Okay, I muted myself. Sorry for that disturbance. I didn't want it to come, but somehow my internet is not good. Okay. So the Mundaka Upanishad, it says, Ameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. So the same quality that we mentioned earlier, that the sun actually brightens everything. So the Lord also in the Mundaka Upanishad is described as the one who is self-effulgent, and he is responsible for throwing light on every single object and making it visible. So the meaning of Bhaskara is that which illuminates. Bhas is the root word, and Bhaskara means that which brightens, that which illuminates everything. Oftentimes, the Lord is also called as Bhaskara. Bhaskara, why? Because he removes the darkness in this world. So just like when the sun rises, all the darkness and the fear for people of darkness is removed. Similarly, when the Lord appears, the fear of this material existence and the darkness of this material world is automatically dissipated. The appearance of the Lord is first discussed in the Valmiki Ramayana when Dasharath was performing the Putra Kameshti Yajna. So you are all aware of the basic storyline of Valmiki Ramayana, how Dasharath Maharaj, he desired to have sons. And because of this intense desire, he performed a big sacrifice. When he performed the sacrifice, he had oblations offered to different demigods. So all the demigods, they appeared in the sky to come and receive these oblations that was being offered. And at that time, when the demigods were all assembled in the sky, they saw Brahma and they started speaking to Brahma. They told, "Oh, Brahma, we all have a big problem.
we have all come here to accept the oblations that is given by Maharaj Dasharat. But then, now that we have seen you, we want to also share the problem that we are facing. This Ravan, he is actually creating so much havoc in this universe, and he's torturing all the demigods. And you have given him so many boons. Because of the different boons that you have conferred upon him, what is happening is that he is torturing all of us and he is getting reckless. So please, somehow or the other, try to control this Ravan. So when the demigods appealed to Brahma like this, they were all thinking of a solution. Oh, how to actually put Ravan under control. So at that time, this most beautiful Lord, he appears in the sky. He also comes to witness the Putra Kamishti Yajna that is happening. And this is the opening scene where the Supreme Lord appears on top of Garuda to talk to the demigods. So the verse is, Etasminnantare Vishnur upayato mahatyutihi khadgachakra gadapani pitavasa jagatpati vainateyam samaruhya bhaskarastoyadam yata taptahataka keyuro vandyamana surottamai. In the meanwhile, the great resplendent Vishnu, the Lord of the universe, arrived there mounted on his eagle vehicle, Garuda, handling the conch shell, disc, and mace in his 3 and 4 hands, clad in yellow, in his 3 or 4 hands, clad in yellow garments, wearing golden bracelets. And while the demigods eulogized him, his arrival was like the arrival of the sun mounted on a black cloud to accord the gift called as rain, the rain of mercy. So it's such a beautiful description comparing the Supreme Lord arriving on top of Garuda, and he was looking exactly like the sun. Here he is described as Bhaskara. He is described as the one who was illuminating everything. So not only was he illuminating everybody's life, he was also dissipating the fear. He came in the Putra Kamishti Yajna just to dispel the fear that was there in the hearts of all the demigods and all the living entities. So the first quality, that the sun lights objects and removes darkness, is very, very applicable to the Supreme Lord, who is Bhaskara, who brightens everything. And the Valmiki Ramayana, we have a very, very beautiful verse that the minute the Lord appears in the Valmiki Ramayana, what he did was he dispelled the darkness and he brightened everyone's life. So that's why the introduction says, Bhaskara Stodayam Yata. So he's described as Bhaskara. So that was the first property we saw. The second property of the sun that we saw in our previous slide was the sun shines where? In the sky. That's how the sun is equal to everyone. He's able to brighten the life of everybody because he appears up in the sky. So again in the Valmiki Ramayana, there is a beautiful verse that talks about how Lord Rama Chandra was like the sun in the sky. But we'll read this verse and we'll see the translation. But then we must keep in mind, is he just like the sun in the sky? Or is he something more? That will be the next part of the discussion. So here is the beautiful verse that says, sorry, just a second. Yeah. Tato Vimana. I don't know what's happening to my computer today. Tato Vimana Agragatam Bharato Bhrataram Tata Vavande Pranato Ramam Merusthavanivam Bhaskaram. Again, the Lord is described as Bhaskara, one who illuminates. And how did he appear? He appeared like the sun that rises on top of Mount Meru. So this was when Bharata was waiting for the return of Lord Ram. So 14 years of Vanavas was over, and Bharata was very, very eagerly waiting for the Lord to appear. So how did he envision the Lord coming? This is the beautiful verse. It says, bending his head in reverence, Bharata then paid his obeisances to Lord Ram, who stood in the aerial mansion, which is the Pushpak Viman, and he was shining like the sun appearing on Mount Meru. But however, we must understand that the Supreme Lord who shines in the sky doesn't just shine in the material sky. The Lord, he shines in the spiritual sky. Srila Prabhupada says in many of his purports, he says, the Lord is like the sun in the spiritual sky. Outside Vaikuntha is the abode of Krishna, which is called as Param Vyoma. It is the glaring effulgence of Krishna's bodily rays. Param Vyoma means sky, and Para means transcendental, beyond the sky. The sky is called as material sky, and beyond this is the Param Vyoma, which is the spiritual sky. So this Lord Ramachandra, not only was he shining in the sky in front of Bharata's eyes, but also he's the same Supreme Lord who shines in the Param Vyoma. Taittiriya Upanishad, this talks about the glories of the Lord. It says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhyam Parame Vyoman. So this Supreme Lord, he's situated in Param Vyoma. It is also mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's purports in Srimad Bhagavatam, the same verse from Taittiriya Upanishad, about the Lord's glories. He is like the sun of the spiritual sky. And you all mentioned this beautiful verse about the Lord being transcendental and how he's like the sun. Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Manoraniyam Samanusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. One of you actually mentioned this verse. So who is he? He is luminous like the sun, and he's transcendental beyond this material nature. So he's Parastat. What and how is he? He's like the sun, Aditya Varnam. And what is he doing? He's removing the darkness. He's removing the darkness how? Being transcendental. He's not in this material sky, but he's beyond this material sky. So beyond this material sky, he shines and he removes the darkness, and he's compared to the beautiful resplendence of the sun. So we saw how Lord Sri Ramachandra is like the sun, comparing him to the different properties of the sun. And we also saw some verses from the Valmiki Ramayana that describes the Supreme Lord as Bhaskara. He is the one who shines and who throws light on everything that is there in this world. Now, Lord Ram is the sun. Then what is Sita Devi? She has to be the energy of the sun, right? She has to be his energy. Srila Prabhupada says in many of his purports, energy and the energetic are non-different. Therefore, energies possess the same quality as the energetic. The energy cannot be separated from the energetic. Now, question to all of you. Is there a verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that talks about the energy and the energetic, that they are one and the same? Is there a verse like that?
Krishna Purna Shakti, Radha Purna Shakti Man, Dui Vastu Bhed Nahi Shastrera Praman.
Beautiful. Always Shastra Praman, Mataji. Yes, that is correct. And you also have verses like Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dui Dehadari Anyonye Vilasa Rasa Aswadhana Kari. Right? They are the same.
Yes, Mataji. And one more, Krishna Premamai Radha Radha Premamai. No. Koti Dandavat.
Very nice, yeah. So as Mataji mentioned, and the other verses also state, Radha and Krishna are one. They have assumed two bodies. They enjoy each other with the mellows of love. They are actually the same. One is the energy and the other is one is the energy and the other is the energetic. Krishna is the energetic and Srimati Radharani is the energy. Srila Prabhupada also says, according to the Vedanta philosophy, there is no difference between the potent and the potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from heat. So again, energy and energetic. So similarly, in the Valmiki Ramayana, throughout the Valmiki Ramayana, we see that Sita Devi is compared to the sunshine, and Lord Ramachandra, already we have seen, is compared to the sun. So now, throughout these verses in the Valmiki Ramayana also, it is very strongly mentioned that as much as the sun and the sunshine cannot be separated from each other, similarly, Ram and Sita cannot be separated from each other. Now, the interesting fact about these two verses is that one verse was spoken by Ram and one verse was spoken by Sita. So let's see the context in which Sita first spoke this verse. So when Sita was kidnapped by Ravana and she was taken to Lanka and she was situated in Lanka for a long time, feeling that intense separation from Lord Ram, Ravana, he would come from time to time to allure her. So one of the days, Ravana got up early in the morning and he dressed himself very nicely. And with his entourage of servants, he went to the Ashokavan where Sita was sitting in separation from Lord Ram. So adjusting his garments very nicely, he was all set and he started walking towards Ashokavan with a great desire to somehow or the other convince Sita Devi and bring her under his control. So he goes and he begins to talk to Sita. How does he allure her? He first describes her beauty. He tells her that you are the most beautiful woman. In fact, in the entire creation of Brahma, you're the best thing that is ever there. So he starts describing her beauty so that her heart changes. Okay, that is the first thing he does. And then he talks about himself. He says, actually, I am the best of all males. And I am so strong. I have this entire kingdom of Lanka. And if you agree to marry me, then I will relinquish all my wives. I will give up all my wives. And I'll make you as my primary consort. And we can roam around in Lanka. And I can even give a lot of riches from this kingdom to your father, Janak. So I'll be very happy and you'll be very happy. Now, the biggest problem for us is that Ram. Ram says, the biggest problem for us is that Rama Chandra. You can easily give up Ram. What is that Ram used for? He's useless, completely useless. He's stuck in the forest. He doesn't even have a kingdom to rule. So let's give up Ram and we both can enjoy. So he makes this proposal to Sita Devi, who's sitting in Ashokavan. So at that time, what Sita Devi does is, she just takes a blade of grass and she places it in front of Ravan. Now, this blade of grass means many things. A few things that it means is that it is like a screen. It is like a screen between this person, Ravana, and herself. So as a chaste woman, she places that little blade of grass, and she also indicates to him that you're not even worthy. You are useless, actually. She gives that impression to Ravana, saying that you're not even worth this blade of grass. And then she begins to speak. She tells, you think you can purchase me with all your wealth and all these glorification that you're making? It is not at all possible. You can never separate Ram and me. And at that time, she states this very, very beautiful verse. She says, Shakya lobhayitum naham aishwaryena dhanena va ananya ragavenam bhaskarena prabhayata. I'm not capable. I'm just not capable to be tempted by wealth or by money. I am not separate. I cannot be separate from Raghava, just like how sunshine and the sun cannot be separated. So she gives the same analogy. She says, Ananya Raghavena aham bhaskarena prabhayata. So he is Bhaskara and I am Bhaskara Prabha. I am the Prabha. I am the sunshine. So I can never be separated from my Bhaskara, who is Raghava. It's a very beautiful verse that was spoken by Sita Devi. Now, I told you the same verse, the same description was given from the lotus mouth of Lord Ramachandra as well. After Sita Devi was given back to Lord Ram when Ram went to rescue her along with the Vanara Sen, when he fought the battle and he was successful, and when Sita Devi was asked to appear in front of all the Vanaras who had succeeded conquering Ravan, at that time when Sita Devi came, Sita Devi entered fire. You all know this pastime of how she entered fire to prove her chastity. When she came out of fire, it was Agni Dev who carried her in his arms and he presented Sita in front of Ram. So when Agni Dev was presenting Sita in front of Ram, at that time Agni Dev said something very interesting. He said that this Sita is very, very pure. My dear Ram, please don't have any doubts about her. She's as pure as fire. Please don't have any doubts about her. So the answer given by Lord Ram at that time was this. He said, Neya maharti chaishwaryam Ravananta pura shubha ananya hi maya sita bhaskarena prabhayata. So he tells Agni Dev, you are telling me about Sita, let me tell you about Sita. This auspicious woman would not give in to the opulence and the temptations presented by Ravana. This Sita is not different from me. Okay, he's very clear. He says she's not different from me, as much as sunlight is not different from the sun. And he explains this whole pastime of her entering fire was not to prove anything to me because she's non-different from me. It was only to clear out any misconceptions that could be there in the people's mind, in the audience mind. That was the one and only reason why she had to enter fire, not to convince me. She's non-different from me, so there is nothing for me to get convinced out of this. And he, in fact, continues to say, how can fire burn fire? He asks this question to whom? To fire, to Agni Dev. So these two are very beautiful verses that talk about how the sun and the sunshine can never be separated. Sita Devi is described to be the sunshine, and Lord Ramachandra is the most glorious sun. In Raghuvira Gadyam, I told you about this composition. There is a very beautiful verse that says, Dinakara Kula Kamala Divakara. Lord Ramachandra is described as Dinakara Kula Kamala Divakara. Dinakara Kula means, Dinakar, you all know, means sun. Now, what is Dinakara Kula? Dinakara Kula is the Surya Vamsha, the dynasty of the sun. And then there is a word called as Kamala. Kamala, you all know, it means lotus. So this entire Surya Vamsha, the different kings that you see in the screen, right from Vaivasvata Manu to Harishchandra to Sagara Maharaj, Dilipa, Katwanga, Dasharat Maharaj, his father Aja, all of these different kings, very, very famous. In the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, you must have heard about all these different kings. All of them were very great, beautiful pastimes about these kings. And each one of these kings are akin to lotuses. They are as glorious as beautiful lotuses. They have such great qualities. But our Lord Ramachandra is the Divakara. Divakara also means sun, but the sun that actually brightens everything is Divakar. So for this Dinakara Kula, where everyone is like a lotus, those lotus blossomed and their glories became even more prominent when this Divakara, when the son of Lord Ram actually took birth from the ocean of the womb of Kausalya. So it's a very beautiful description of how Lord Ramachandra is the sun that threw light, that bestowed light on all these different lotuses that had not blossomed fully. After Lord Ramachandra appeared in the Sun dynasty, then each of these different king glories were actually brought out to the world. So he is the Divakara who bestowed light on each of these different Kamalas who are there in the Dinakara Kula. So that is the glory of Lord Ramachandra. In fact, in the beginning of the Valmiki Ramayana, there is a very, very beautiful verse that is spoken by Narad Muni to Valmiki. Valmiki had many questions. He asked about a person, one person who's existing currently, who has 16 different qualities. He lists the qualities. Konasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryaman dharmagnyascha kritagnyascha satyavakyo dridavratah. So like that, he lists 16 different qualities and he says, is there any person who has all these qualities and who's living here now currently? Can you name him? So that is what Valmiki asks in the very beginning of the very first chapter of Valmiki Ramayana. So at that time, Narada, he clarifies to Valmiki, yes, he says, Ikshvaku Vamsha Prabhavo Ramo Nama Janai Shrutah Niyatatma Mahaviryo Dhyutiman Dhritiman Vashihi. So he says, there is one person by the name Rama. The whole world knows him as Rama. Rama Nama Janai Shrutah. The people have heard about this name, and that name is Rama. And in which dynasty did he appear? He appeared in the Sun dynasty, in Ikshvaku dynasty. And how is he? He's resplendent. He's Dhyutiman. He's self-effulgent, and he bestows effulgence on every other person who has appeared in this dynasty. Niyatatma, he's eternal. Mahavirya, he is very, very valorous. He's Dhyutiman, he's splendorous, self-effulgent, and he's Dhritiman. Dhriti, he's very, very steady. So these are the different qualities of Lord Ramchandra. Of course, all the various qualities were already discussed in one of the previous sessions during our previous year's Ramayana discussions. So like this, we see that Lord Ramachandra, he's compared to the sun. And especially, he's compared to the sun that has actually blossomed the lotuses that were there in the Sun dynasty. So this is the beautiful glory of Lord Ram, comparing him to the sun. Now, Lord Ram is also compared to the moon. That's why he's called as Rama Chandra. Though he appeared in Surya Vamsha, he's called as Ramachandra. Why is that so? So let's see that. Now let me ask you all a question. What are the different qualities of the moon that you all know?
It gives cool.
It's very beautiful.
It's
Cooling.
beautiful. It's cooling. Yes, very nice. Those are right.
It nourishes the plants.
Yes, it nourishes the plants. Yes, correct. Bhagavad Gita also talks about it, right? It nourishes everyone. It's very cooling and it is very pleasing. So these are the different qualities of the moon. So let's see how Lord Ramchandra is compared to the moon. Actually, if you look at the moon, of course, all that you said is correct. It is nourishing, it is cooling, all these qualities, it is pleasing. All this is there in the moon. There is another thing about the moon. The moon has 16 phases. Right from Amavasya to Purnima, if you see, these are the different phases of the moon. You're all aware of these different phases, right? So there are 16 in number. So what are the different 16 phases of the moon? It starts with Amavasya, then we go to Pratama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, and so on. Like that, in the very first chapter of the Valmiki Ramayana, when Valmiki inquires from Narad Muni, is there a person who has all 16 qualities? He asks for 16 different glorious qualities. And these are the different 16 qualities. Each of these 16 qualities are compared to the different phases of the moon in the Ramayana. So Gunavan, Viryavan, Dharmagnya, Kritagnya, Satyavakya, Dridavratah, Charitrena Yukta. So like that, there are 16 different qualities that is mentioned. And each of these 16 different qualities are compared to different phases of the beautiful moon. So this is how in the Valmiki Ramayana, in the beginning itself, Lord Ram is compared to Chandra, the phases of Chandra. That is the reason why Lord Rama is also known as Rama Chandra. In the Valmiki Ramayana itself, nowhere he is mentioned as Ramachandra, but Because of this description of the 16 qualities, he came to be known as Ramachandra. There is also a specific verse that describes him to the moon. So the verse is like this: Vishnuna sadrisho viryo soma priya darshana kalagni sadrisha krodhe kshamaya prithvi sama dhanadena samatyage satye dharma iva paraha. In valor, Lord Ram is compared to Vishnu, and in his looks, he's attractive like the moon. He equals the earth in his forgiveness, but he's matchable to the world ending. He's matchable to the fire that appears during the ending of this world. In his benevolent nature, he's identical to Kubera, the Lord of Wealth, and in his candor, like Dharma itself, the truth personified, and no other rival for him. So this is a rough translation of this verse. So basically the point here is that Soma iva priya darshana. He's just like Soma in his looks. He's so beautiful to look at. He's very cooling. He's very pleasing like the moon, and he gives pleasure to the heart. So there is a particular bird that lives on moonshine, drinking the rays of the moon. Anyone knows the name of this bird? It is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Chataka.
You're almost there. Chataka drinks rainwater, right? There is one more.
Chakravakam?
No, you're almost there. Chataka. Chakora, yes, correct. Chakora Chandra, right? What does Chakora do? It lives on the moonshine. It lives on the moonshine. See, there's a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam about the Chakora birds living on moonshine. All the Vrajavasis are compared to Chakora birds, and they live gazing at the beauty of Rajendra Nandan. Rajendra Kula Dhukta Sindhu, Krishna Tahe Purna Indu, Janmi Kaila Jagata Ujora, Kantyamritaye Bapiye, Nirantara Piyajiye, Vraja Jane Ranayana Chakora. The family of Maharaj Nanda is just like an ocean of milk, wherein Lord Krishna has arisen like the full moon to illuminate the entire universe. The eyes of the residents of Vraja are like what? They are like chakora birds that continuously drink. They continuously drink the nectar of his bodily luster, and they live peacefully. So this is the nature of the chakora bird. It just survives on moonshine. If the moon is not there, the chakora, loses all its nourishment. So that is the nature of chakora birds. And all the Vrajavasis are like chakora. Similarly, when Lord Ramachandra, he enters Mithila Nagara to go and meet King Janaka and break the Shivadhanush and in turn later marry Sita Devi. At that time, all the people in Mithila, they were gazing, Raghuvira Gadyam states, they were gazing at Lord Ramachandra with their eyes, and they were trying to drink the beauty of the Chandra like Chakora birds. Why? Because Chakora lives only on Chandra's rays. So like that, all the people, not only in Mithila, but also in Ayodhya, they survive just looking at the beauty of the glow of the moon like Lord Ramachandra. There is another beautiful verse in the Valmiki Ramayana that talks about how the people in Ayodhya were just waiting for Lord Ramachandra to come and take over the throne. And they were waiting like the ocean that is waiting for the moonrise. Because you all know, you've seen in pictures that the moon actually emerges from the ocean. It looks like that. Of course, the moon is in the sky. But for poets, right, how does the moon look like? It looks like the moon is emerging from the shores of the ocean. So like that, there is a very beautiful comparison of how the Ayodhya Vasis, they had King Dasharath for a very long time as a king. King Dasharath ruled for over 60,000 years and they were tired. They wanted Lord Ramachandra. They were waiting, when is Lord Ram going to come and take over the throne. So that's when there is a very beautiful verse that says, Tasmin pravishte piturantikam tada janasya sarve muditan pa atmaje pratikshate tasya punasmanirgamam yata udayam chandramasa saritpati. When Ram went near to his father, all the people there were delighted. Who are the people here? The people are the Ayodhya Vasis who are in the assembly of Dasharath. They were all very, very delighted. They were so happy, our future king is coming. How were they happy? They were so delighted. It was like as if, just like how the ocean waits for the rising moon, similarly, all the people in this assembly were waiting for the arrival of Lord Ram. So like this Surya Vamsha's Rama Chandra, he's moon-like in his appeasing personality, very, very pleasing personality, and he's sun-like in his radiant valor. So much so, when Lord Ramachandra was born, even in his horoscope, he had the sun that was exalted and the moon that was in its own house, and he was born in a Chandra Lagna. So he gave such great importance to both the sun and the moon, and he had beautiful qualities like both the sun and the moon. So let's all be like that Chakora bird. Let's wait and gaze upon Lord Ram this entire week. Keep our ears open and stay tuned for more and for more Ram Katha throughout this week. So we have a list of speakers who will be enlightening us, who will be speaking pastimes on the glories of Lord Ram. So let's keep our ears and eyes open and keep waiting for this entire week to pass by till Thursday, of course, which is Ram Ram. So I'll end here. Thank you all so much for patiently waiting in spite of all the technical problems. If you have any questions, comments, or realizations, please go ahead.
Beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you for enlightening on this subject. I wish you would have spoken a little more about it. Would have taken 15-20 minutes more, but it was very, very nice. Thank you. And thank you for making the session also so interactive.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. And yes, it was a very short presentation.
But it's always so pleasing to hear Ram Katha from your mouth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini Mataji. Thank you so much for coming on the call on this Monday working day. We all know. Thank you so much, Mataji, for being there and doing Ramakatha. Hearing Ramakatha from you is always pleasing. We have so many classes that you have already given. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very grateful to you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
It's very nice, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gomudiki Mataji. So nice to hear your voice.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini. What a sweet class. But I was just thinking, how many times have we listened to Ramayanam in our lives? And how is it that no matter how many times we hear it, we're like waiting on the edge of our seats, like what's going to happen next? What more there is? It just shows us how infinite the glories of the Lord are, because you can't even about famous people, you can't hear the same thing over and over about their exploits or whatever. It's not as attractive. But Ram, when you're talking about the glories of the Lord, it's like, let's do this again. Okay, when are we starting again? So thank you so much for putting us in that mood. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And I was also thinking about how in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj, you've heard about Lord Rama and his glory so many times. You've heard the story over and over again. So I'm just going to give you a synopsis. But even at that time, it was so interesting, right? So it's ever fresh. Mataji. Yeah. Prahlad.
Pranam Mataji. Very authentic Sanskrit quotations, and it's so nice. My question is, do we have any translation of Valmiki Narayan in ISKCON, where we have, all the details like that? Do we have that?
Yeah. So Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu has published. So far, I think till Ayodhya Kand, it's available. You can order the books. The rest of the kandas are in process. They are coming, slowly getting released one by one. And we have translation with the commentaries of the 4 Vaishnav Sampradayas. And it's a very good, it's very, very good. It's such a good book.
What's the name you say? What's the name of that?
Valmiki Ramayan with commentaries from different Sampradayas.
The name of the Prabhuji who compiled this?
Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu. I can send you
Vidwan
a
Gauranga.
Yeah.
And it's available on Amazon?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if it is available on Amazon. I got it from one Prabhu in India, but I can tell you if it is available on Amazon. Yeah, Valmiki Ramayan in 3 volumes. It's there in India, Amazon, and it is there in Ras Bihari Lal. So I can send you the link to India, Amazon.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Balakandam is there, Ayodhya is there. I believe Aranya is still to be published. Maybe it should be published this week, thinking. But let's, yeah. Did I stop screen? Stop screen share. Okay, I'll send this link on the chat for India. Or you can get it in Ras Bihari Lal and Sons. So, yeah. And it's very good. The book is excellent, actually. It has all the commentaries. Because that's what I want, right? So, yeah. Yeah, of course, Gita Press, but Gita Press doesn't have commentaries. It has.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for such a nectarian class. It was amazing. Very so nicely you compared the Lord to Son, and it was a very, very, very captivating class, Mataji. Thank you. As always, your classes are so interesting.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
हरे कृष्णा जी। प्रीति विलासिनी माता जी, कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम। श्रील प्रभुपाद श्री गुरुदेव की जय। माता जी, ऐसा होता है हृदय में कि हम तो क्वालिफाइड नहीं है कोई भी लीला में एंटर होने के लिए, पर इतने भाव है आप में, इतनी पोटेंसी कि अरे इतनी जल्दी कैसे खत्म हो गई। अभी और हमें नेक्टेरियन हम और पास्ट टाइम आपसे सुने, क्योंकि हमने ऑलरेडी सुने हैं आपसे। माता जी, प्लीज गिव योर एसोसिएशन एंड ब्लेसिंग। हर कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा। जय जय नित्यानंद, जय जय गौरांग। श्री राम नवमी की जय।
Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for your association and blessings. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga. Mataji, wonderful, so super. You compare with the sun and moon, so it was so, I have no word about that. And Ram Katha is too much like a Krishna Katha. And you, what kind of you did narrated. It's very nice, Mataji. And you just sang the Sanskrit shlokas very, very nicely, beautifully. And I'm eagerly waiting for your association more and more.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much, Yashomati Mataji, for your blessings.
हाँ माता जी, और एक क्लास लीजिए श्री राम नवमी पे।
Yes, Mataji.
We'll do for the kids. Yeah. We have many great speakers lined up, actually. They will all be doing nice katha, so we can hear this entire week. Yeah. Anybody else has anything to add? Or anything else you'd like to say? Okay, so then we can end.
Sure, Mataji, with your permission. Thank you so much, Mataji. We'll end the call now. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitan pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हर ग्रेस प्रीति विलासिनी माता जी की जय।
Jai.
जय। हरे कृष्ण। प्रणाम माता जी। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you.
Jai.
Mataji, koti koti.
Very, very nice. After a long time I heard.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you everyone for joining. We'll close the call for today. Hari Bol.